Hello, everyone. This is Markus from the Space Cafe podcast, and let me take you on a journey today. Let's go to Jupiter, and to be precise, to its moon, Io. Io is a crazy interesting place because it's volcanically extremely active. In fact, it's the most active place in the entire solar system, with volcanoes that spew lava and sulfur plumes up to 500 kilometers into space. And Io was discovered already in 1610 by Galileo Galilei. But this is not the story today. The story today is a bunch of very interesting data that NASA spacecraft Juno discovered. And NASA released that data very recently. And what caught my attention was a place some call already Steeple Mountain. And there's an artistic rendering already out there on the internet about a place, a very interesting mountain between 5,000 and 7,000 meters tall with a very peculiar rock face. And I was like, this could be the perfect place for an expedition for a world-class mountaineer. Of course, take this with a grain of salt, but still, why not? Maybe in future generations, someone will do it. So I called up my friend, world-class climber from Switzerland, Stephan Siegrist, and challenged him to come up with a solution to climb that place. And this is what he came up with. It was a lot of fun. Hey, Steph, can you hear me?
Hello, Markus. Yes, I hear you very well. How are you?
Awesome. I'm in my studio. Where are you? That's the question.
Yeah, it doesn't look super pretty in the backside. In the hotel in Reykjavik, just landed like an hour ago. And tomorrow,
what brings you to Reykjavik?
It's unfortunately kind of only a stopover. Tomorrow we continue to Greenland, which is also beautiful, nice. But yeah, so we have a few hours to stay here, and then we continue further.
Fantastic. So, Steph, the thing is that NASA just released a bunch of very, very compelling imagery from the Jupiter moon Io. They made some research with a space probe, and they discovered a pretty interesting mountain they call the Steeple Mountain. Let me show you. Let me show you this place. This is what it looks like.
Yo, that's insane. Eh?
All right. So my friend, this place, let me just pause right here. So this place is called Steeple Mountain, and it's an artist's rendering based on real scientific data. So it's between 5,000 and 7,000 meters tall.
What?
And
I thought it's maybe like 5 meters high, that peak.
No, not so. Just imagine 5,000 meters. So how does this make you feel as a mountaineer?
I mean, if you know my preferences, then you know that mountain really attracts me from the beginning. It's like so fascinating how it stands there in the place. It's shaped like a knife. It's super attractive. I would love to go.
Is there something comparable on Earth, or is this kind of shape impossible to have on Earth? Because on Io there is a completely different gravity, so there is just 0.18 grams of gravity. So this is a tenth of what we're experiencing on Earth. So would something like this be possible on Earth? Have you ever seen something like that?
I would say I saw similar stuff, but let's say like 100 and 200 meters high, but not 5,000 meters high. And talking about gravity, in that point, it will be quite interesting to climb there. Yeah.
Because it could be easy. It could be easy to climb under those conditions. Let's move out a little. Or first, let me give you a little bit of an executive what this place is all about. So the gravity, we already covered. So it's 0.183 grams. So the movement will be a lot lighter and require a lot of adaptation because there's lower resistance and different mobility. So I think this is something that can be adapted to. Now, the atmosphere on Io is extremely thin. So it's mostly dominated by sulfur. There is almost no atmospheric pressure. So a breathing apparatus whatsoever and spacesuits to climb would be essential. Now, the temperature, Steph, the temperature varies. So it's usually extremely cold, except for areas near volcanic activity, where temperatures can exceed 1,200 degrees centigrade, Celsius. So I guess, and where there's no volcanic stuff going on, you have like minus a couple of minus 200 degrees, minus 250 degrees. So thermal regulation gear could be necessary, and radiation. And Io is exposed to severe levels of radiation, approximately 3,600 grams per day. That's a lot more than we could ever bear as humans on Earth. So, summing it up, it's extremely hostile. Let's start with the simple one, the temperature. Let's start with a sleeping bag. What is the most extreme sleeping bag you have ever used or owned, down to like minus Celsius temperatures?
Yeah, maybe we have to start where I had my coldest temperatures. This was in Antarctica, and there we had big sleeping bags with us with minus 50 degrees. You need a pretty fat one, but I cannot imagine like 100 degrees minus Celsius.
Yes.
Just that it's.
Tell me, Stephan, on Earth in Antarctica, minus 50 degrees in a sleeping bag. Is that still cold, or is it cozy inside that sleeping bag?
Actually, it's quite cozy. In Antarctica, you have dry air, so the coldness is not that aggressively like, let's say, in the North Pole. In that case, it was not a big deal. The only not so comfortable thing was that with the humidity, when you were breathing during the night, your eyelashes would freeze together, and then if you had to go for a pee in the night, you first had to warm up your eyes so that you could even see something.
So how would you do that? With your finger? How would you warm up your eyes?
Exactly, with the fingers out, and then you need a kind of a 3 to 4 minutes more before you could step out of the sleeping bags and go out for a pee.
So now this could be a little too intimate a question, but now since you were talking about that, peeing during minus 50 outside, how does that work?
It's quite easy. You just have to be fast.
Okay, but no, it works.
It's definitely not a big deal. It sounds like super crazy, but yes, you get used to it.
Okay, you get used to it. Nice. Okay, thanks for that insight. All right, so the terrain, now back to our crew brief. The steeple mountain, as mentioned, is between 5 and 7 kilometers tall. And the terrain includes a mixture of sulfur dioxide frost, so it's usually frozen, and silicate lava, contributing to very unstable and unpredictable ground conditions. So, is there anything relatable on Earth where you could say, of course, I could imagine that if you have sulfur dioxide frost, that could be relatable to ice climbing, frost climbing on Earth, right?
Yeah, I guess. Sounds like. So as long it stays cold and it stays cold there, not like by us. By us, we have more and more the problem that with the high temperatures, the mountains start to falling apart. But there it looks you can climb it without any risk of the heat.
Right. Because on Earth, the climate change or the the rising temperatures, they produce an issue because the mountains, the permafrost melts and gives way to mountain slides and whatnot. So that's an actual problem that you're dealing with, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you definitely feel it, not just here by us in the Alps. You also see it, let's say, in Greenland or in the Himalayas. The ice is really melting away, and then the big ice masses, the base who pushes against the mountains, if that isn't there anymore, then they start to collapse.
And that's happening, I guess.
It's happening. Yeah. We see more and more.
Travel logistics, Steph. So launch. I hope your family will be down to putting up with you for staying away for an extended period. So the expedition will begin with a launch from Earth aboard a heavy lift rocket capable of exiting Earth's orbit and navigating to Jupiter. This is something that could be in reach pretty soon with Elon's Starship, maybe. But this one could be capable of doing stuff like that within the next couple of years. Now, the journey to Jupiter, travel to Jupiter will take approximately 13 months using current propulsion technology. This includes gravitational assist and orbital maneuvers. It's the swing by different planets and celestial bodies to even speed up your travel time. But still, 13 months travel time. What's your longest travel time on Earth? So what was the remotest peak or place you have ever traveled to?
The longest was 2.5 months. But that's the whole expedition. It's not just the travel time. I would need to have a good sponsor to pay you like 13 months only for travel time.
But this is just one direction. That's just one direction.
Yes, but I have to show that to the sponsor and ask them if they would be unclimbed mountain, if they would be up to give it a go before I tell them where it is.
Now, then arrival after 13 months, the spacecraft will enter orbit around Io and perform detailed reconnaissance to select the safest landing site near Steeple Mountain. The problem on this moon is that it's a volcanic place, so it's very, very active. So you need to be very sure to find the right spot. And if you find the right spot, there's still chances that a volcano will erupt in the vicinity or underneath you. So it's a tricky spot. Anyways, I think now let's talk about equipment. The spacecraft in the first place must support deep space travel, provide shielding from cosmic and Jupiter radiation, and carry landing modules adapted for Io's gravitational and environmental conditions. Then life support. Systems to recycle water and air will be critical. And this is very tricky because Io offers next to no natural resources for human sustenance. That's the problem. So let's compare that to your experiences on Earth. Where was the remotest place you've ever visited where there was next to no natural resource you could tap into?
Yeah, one again was Antarctica, definitely, but there were kind of a lot of natural resources like water with with the ice, and then other one in a remote part of the Kashmir Himalaya in North India. But yeah, if you compare it to there, it's nothing. Huh? It's
Exactly.
we have it easy.
Now let's talk climbing gear. Modified for Io's gravity. So you need a bunch of climbing gear, including lightweight but durable materials to handle sharp and abrasive volcanic rock. So I think this is something you could put up with, right?
Yeah, that sounds like that would be mostly the easiest part of. So we would bring our Titans, our tools to climb
But
there.
the cool thing is you can bring 10 times the weight because the gravity is 10 times lower. So you can like bring your most fancy equipment you've ever wanted to bring on Earth.
Yeah, I love that idea. And also carry the backpack and even climbing would make it easier.
Exactly. What we have not told the audience, Steph, completely missed that. You and I, we met on an expedition in northern India in the Himalayas, and where I was in complete awe of the Sherpa capabilities when it comes to carrying very heavy loads. So what's your traditional Sherpa carrying on average?
Yeah, on average they carry 25 kgs. But some of them they like to make double of the money and they carry 50 kgs. And there's the super crazy ones. Yeah, then we had two guys. They really wanted to climb 75 kgs. We didn't allow them the destroying, but yeah, for them it's kind of sometimes the only way. Yeah, they can make money. So, but it's definitely hard to also to tell them you're not allowed. We don't gonna pay you a penny or a rupee if you carry more than 50 kgs. But yeah,
crazy.
The tough guys.
This is your or my body weight. They would carry up that mountain. That's for thousands of meters in altitude. This is mind blowing.
It is definitely crazy. Yeah.
All right. Communication, back to Io, Steph. Communication, high gain antennas and relay satellites to maintain communication with Earth despite Jupiter's magnetic interference. So on Earth, you would communicate also via satellites to get weather information from weather centers in Europe. So this is pretty much also something you would be used to on Earth, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So challenges and risks, radiation exposure. This is something, maybe you have a little bit of radiation also in higher altitudes on Earth. You have in higher altitudes, you have to be careful when it comes to the sun and the high energy sun radiation. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah, we have these days quite good sunscreens, but I definitely over the years it became a bit of a problem with one of my ears, so it got a bit too much of sun. It's luckily not yet kind of a cancer situation, but could be on a certain point.
So what kind of a sun blocker do you use?
Usually a 50.
A 50. There's no more than 50, right?
No, means you just have to put you cannot forget to put it again and again on it, and that's what we sometimes do.
50, this I assume it's almost like complete shielded
Blocking.
by makeup maybe, where no sun radiation touches the surface of the skin anymore.
Yeah.
So the problem with the IO radiation, Steph, is that it's completely lethal. So if you're exposed to it constantly, it's lethal. So this is the problem. Then you have the temperature extremes. Managing the extreme cold and proximity to volcanic heat necessitates adaptable thermal protection. Okay, so a spacesuit could be something for your sponsor to develop, so it shouldn't be your issue. Then technical failures, that's kind of thing I think you're also used to and need to put up with. The harsh conditions increase the risk of equipment failure, redundancy in critical systems, and emergency protocols must be planned very meticulously. But this is something that's everyday business to you anyways, I guess.
Yeah, let's say in a low level, it is. But if we gonna go to the steeple mountain, I would organize you to help us for the whole organization of the expedition.
Tell me, now that we're through with everything and you just need to sign that you agree to participate in the exhibition, but just tell me, if you approach a mountain like this, so let's assume this is your next expedition. How would you now make up your mind about climbing it? How would you approach something like this? Where would you place your base camps, and where would you place your routes, and how would you approach something like that from the video that we're seeing right now, right here?
That's a very good question. I mean, it looks flat around the whole mountain, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
So base camp would be very close to the actual mountain. And
like right here?
If you,
right here?
Yeah,
so
right more on the right side from the beginning of the ridge, since the ridge is definitely the easiest thing. If you want to do a first ascent, usually you go for the most logical line, and that would definitely be the ridge.
Would you go along the ridge? So you wouldn't climb the wall?
Not yet, but the beginning, I think it would go for the ridge.
Okay. Okay.
We didn't talk about wind up there.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Good question. Let me just try to find out. Let me just, you know what? I hit close here, and I will ask. Let me just very briefly ask what the wind conditions are. What are the wind conditions on Io next to Jupiter? Fun questions we're asking. I love my job. So Jupiter's moon has a very different environmental setup compared to Earth, especially when it comes to atmospheric conditions. There is no substantial atmosphere on Io, meaning it lacks the kind of wind or weather systems that we are familiar with on Earth. Instead, Io's environmental dynamics are primarily driven by its volcanic activity, which is the most intense in the solar system. This activity can eject particles and gases, but these wouldn't form winds in the conventional sense that we experience on Earth. The environment on Io is characterized more by its extreme volcanic and thermal activity than by anything akin to Earth-like weather or wind conditions. So you're good to go. No wind.
Okay. So then I would stay on the ridge, if there is not much wind.
Good. Okay, and then how? Okay, so now you decided to go or stay on the ridge. What next?
Yeah, but the mountain is like between 5 and 7,000 meter high. So you have to
Yes.
imagine there's no such mountain in what we know on Earth, from the base to the top. So that would take many, many days. Depends of the difficulty of the route, how good the rock is. And if you look at the ridge on let's say 6,000 meter high peak starting from the ground, so the ridge is many kilometers long. So you would spend quite some days on that climb.
Some days. So what is your average? So if you compare this mountain to something comparable on Earth, I don't know, are mountains in Patagonia something comparable to that, or what would you say?
No, I mean, from the form of the mountain is, you see a lot in granite, or often in granite. So you see that in the Himalayas, sure also in Patagonia, but the actual height of the mountain is, we're talking usually if you have a face of 2,000 meter altitude different, then it's already a very long climb, a high face. Usually they're between, let's say 1,000, 1,500 meter faces, and that one would be like 6,000 meters.
Wow!
So
wow!
It's
so what's
incredibly.
What's the highest face on Earth that is climbable?
I couldn't tell you or say you. I don't know. Exactly what would be the highest.
El Capitan.
No, El Capitan you see in many places. It's just not so accessible like in the Yosemite. But but where you joined us to Shivling is the 1,800 meters high, and that's considered to one of the longer faces you find in alpine stuff. Yeah.
So just to get a feeling, so for 1,000 meter rock face, how long would you need granite? Or let's go a little closer to what you would be experiencing on Steeple Mountain. So let's assume it's frozen. So how long would it take for 1,000 meters rock face to climb in frozen conditions?
I think the mountain has to be frozen, otherwise that guy falls apart, I guess.
Okay.
And you would climb in rock conditions, cold rock conditions for sure. And then the question is what kind of structure you meet on the mountain. So if you find cracks, which usually on volcanic stone you won't find cracks, or barely, and so that makes the climb way harder and longer if you cannot climb lines on crack lines up. In crack lines, you often are faster than in face climbs.
Yes.
So if you would attack this face, let's say difficult but not super high difficulties, it would take you mostly 3 weeks. I would suggest
3 weeks. Wow.
Yeah, but in conditions we know, not like minus 100 degrees.
Would you go? Usually, would you go back and forth until you make it to the top, or would you sleep in between and work your way up?
Yeah, you would sleep in between in a portaledge and then work your way up. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, fantastic. So, summing it up, it's a cool mountain. It's challenging terrain. It's pretty tough to get to, but it would be, I guess, if we look a little bit into the future and we think crazy, and once mankind is starting to be even more on an interplanetary tangent, would you, as a mountaineer, fancy climbing mountains outside our planet on different places? Would that be something that could interest you?
Yeah, definitely. I'm always up for a kind of adventure, and that sounds like a good adventure there. So, yeah, why not? So, yes, I mean, it's very super unexplored terrain. The mountain looks beautiful. It really attracts me a lot. And yes, I would love to do something like that one day.
Nice. So, dear sponsor, if you're listening, Steph would be up for an upgrade, serious upgrade. Steph, that was a lot of fun. I think I assume no one has done something like this before, to have a mountaineer assess an extraterrestrial expedition. Thank you so much for that. That's really a lot of fun.
Thank you a lot, Markus. It was super cool. And thanks you to introduce me to that mountain. Keep it in my mind.
Absolutely. Hey, good travels, safe travels tomorrow to Greenland, and have a great photo shoot. How long are you staying?
Yeah, unfortunately, only 12 days.
Okay. By the way, if someone wants to catch up with you and your expeditions, where can people stay in touch with you?
I'm on Instagram. Yeah, that's
nice.
And LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, nice. Hey, Steph, wonderful. Thank you so much. Take good care.
Thanks a lot.
And safe travels.
Thanks. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.